Face inside, guys. Tubla kute chal Firstly, congratulations India for passing a landmark bill for women reservation in the common house as well as the state assemblies. It is what India stands for today. A lot of women empowerment and more power to women in India. I'm going to be reciting a story of one of India's first female practicing doctors. Her name is Rakhma Bai, and she was responsible for one such landmark act which was passed in the year 1891, and this is the age of consentment. Today in India, the age of consentment went up from 16 to 18 years in 2012, but in British India, the age of consent was 10 years of age. Rakhma Bai was born in 1864 to parents Jayanti Bai and her father, whose name was Janardhan. She lost her father at the age of 2, and her mom went on to remarry 7 years later to an eminent social reformer and doctor of that time. His name was Sakharam Arjun. Sakharam Arjun, interestingly, is the founder of the Bombay Natural Society, which also can be found in Colaba today at the Hornbill House. And that society obviously 140 years ago stood up for biodiversity, and also a lot of hunting that happened in and around Maharashtra and India around that time. So he encouraged Rakhma Bai to read a lot, and Rakhma Bai was an avid reader. She was also a part of Pratna Samaj and Arya Samaj, which were societies, which were Hindu societies around the 1800s in and around Ranch Road. Rakhma Bai got married to Sakharam Arjun's first cousin, Bikaji, and obviously Bikaji was, like all other marriages that happened back in the day, was about 10 years elder to Rakhma Bai, and Rakhma Bai, having been a well-read woman, did not want to consummate the wedding. In fact, she didn't live with Bikaji for a good 10 years. Bikaji was living with their family and then later moved out. He was indebted and wanted Rakhma Bai to provide for his debts, to provide for his living. And Rakhma Bai, being strong-headed, unlike most women of that generation, said she wasn't up for it and she wanted a dissolution of her marriage. There was a case, a very legendary case that dates back to 1884, which was a social reform case between Bikaji and Rakhma Bai, which was condemned by then freedom fighters like Bal Gangadhar Tilak as well, who wrote strongly in his newspaper Kesari against what Rakhma Bai was asking for. However, on the flip side, she got a lot of support from British and for one certain Max Muller Bhavan as well, Max Muller, and you can find Max Muller Bhavan in Mumbai today as well. That's where they teach German. But Max Muller supported Rakhma Bai's call, and he said that women should be able to call the shots when it comes to consummating their marriage and whether or not they want to live with their husbands or not. And eventually, whilst the court decided against what Rakhma Bai was asking for, it was the 50th year of the Queen's reign, and Rakhma Bai in 1888 wrote to the Queen of England, Queen Victoria, and she asked for justice. She said that we are women who believe in our Queen, and we're women of modern British India, and we need to have a choice and we need to be heard. And eventually, in 1891, the Consent Act was passed. Post which Rakhma Bai then went on to study medicine and got her doctorate in the year 1894 from London, which just goes to show that there is no age to learning. She became a doctor at the age of 30, and the rest is history, as they say. Me reciting this story comes from the fact that Rakhmabai's house is something that you will not miss if you've grown up in Grand Chota and Gaudevi. But a lot of people do not know that Rakhmabai actually resided there. So if you've ever had dosa at Narayan's in Gaudevi, which is very close to French Bridge, so you get down French Bridge and the big bungalow that you see there is where she resided. And that house, believe you me, was made from 22,000 or about 23,000 rupees back then. And that was the money that Jayanti Bai got from her husband, rather her husband's death, from LIC. So LIC back in India in the year 1889 paid for that house, which was then costing about 23,000 rupees. So that's my 2 cents about Mumbai, about Grand Road. And yeah, up until the next time I see you, face inside, guys. I hope the content's getting better. I'd love your feedback, and have a great weekend, guys. See ya.